think that a Christian woman needs to stay with a Christian man who's cheating on her for the sake of we don't ever get divorced. Y'all mad at me? Let's talk about it. So I have an example for you. We have a Christian hip hop artist, pretty prominent name in Christian hip hop. He is signed to a record label called Reach Records, which is the most prominent Christian hip hop label out there. Well, he puts out a statement pretty much confessing to the fact that he hasn't been a great husband. It was still a bit, he didn't confess to very many things inside of it. It was one of those Christianese type announcements, I guess you could say. Well, after that, this artist's wife has a friend. Catafan is her handle, and she clowns. She pretty much rips him apart, texting pics to other women, sleeping with people. After she calls him out, Reach Records then says, whoa, didn't know he was doing all these things. We have to let him go. He is not representing this brand anymore if that's the lifestyle he's really in. So I'm gonna assume they actually talked to him about what his wife's friend released, and there had to be truth to it for them to say, we gotta cut ties. They said, we're gonna support you like a brother, but you cannot represent this label if those are your actions. The thing about it is they had just announced a tour and he was on it, right? He was on the bill. So they had to take him off of it in order. Whew, that's just messy. Okay, moving on. So the question is, should his wife, should Gawvi's wife continue, which she had already done for years, stay with him just because they're in a Christian marriage? Now, there's different sides of this. Here's mine. If she was being emotionally abused, which from her statement she just put out about 3 days ago, she was being gaslit, which means he's blaming her for his behavior. I wouldn't cheat if you didn't. I wouldn't do this if you didn't. Which we know that God holds us responsible for our own actions. There's not another person that can put on you, unless at gunpoint, I guess, can put on you, can cause you to act out of character. No matter who they are, you still have choice, right? But he would gaslight her, according to her statement, blaming her for things he had done. He was doing all kinds of things with other women for a number of years, according to his wife or ex-wife's statement. So if you ask me, should she have stayed in that situation? If I'm her, I am asking God for a way out. If that means he's changing, okay? If that means I need to be a better woman, not for him to change, just so I can be a better woman, right? Show up all the way I need to in this relationship, then I'm praying for that. But as soon as I have peace, if God gives it to me, I'm out of there. So let's talk about 3 things you need to do before you actually leave someone. And I'm saying this from a place of just coaching women, also from studies and my little psychology degree. Let's go. So first things first is you need to go to therapy. What is therapy for real? It is someone who sits down with you and walks you through techniques and strategies and different perspectives on how to look at your situation, where how you were brought up or different relationships and things that were modeled for you did not give you everything you needed to succeed today. So therapy gives you an objective person to help you walk through those things. So therapy is first. If you're married, it's going down the drain, man, show up in therapy. If you're engaged, whatever, go to therapy. Second, if that doesn't work out, you need to get separated. I would encourage separation before divorce. My therapist actually recommend that you separate no less than 6 months, like at a minimum. And that's not living in 2 different houses but still acting married. It's actually allowing there to be a consequence for the poor behavior and allowing you to kind of come back to yourself. So when you approach the relationship, you're more of clear mind, not with all the emotions that went along with how bad it was before, right? So actually separate for a good period of time. Doesn't mean you can't interact at all, but you can research on how you need to do that in a healthy way. And depending on what caused you to need the separation may also determine how long you need to be separated. It does vary, I remember she said. So Lastly, divorce may be necessary. Divorce being necessary, to me, as a Christian woman, you need to have peace about that thing. You need to know that this is supposed to end, especially if you have kids. But let me just say this, the kids are going to be okay. How could you say that? What do you mean? Shouldn't I just stay for the kids? Let me just tell you, if God has taken care of you, if God has taken care of you, God has looked out for you, He will also look after your children. Don't let the children be the only factor that determines whether you suffer the rest of your life. You're not showing up as a great mother or whole for your kids because of the situation. No, do not let that be the only factor. How else can you say that, Priscilla? I am a child of divorce. It happened in late teens for me, but let me just tell you, God continued, as I continue to put myself around God with His word and even church, even though church hurt happened in different places or whatever, as I continue to put myself in the right place to receive from God, He heals all the things. He helps you to be better. God will take care of the kids. Don't worry. Do not worry. I think what's so sad about this is reportedly after Gawvi was confronted, he kept going. He did not stop his behavior. It continued. And there was years of her having to deal with the lack of behavior. They were even separated at one point. I think he shared in a different video some years ago. So there's been a lot that's happened with them that, of course, we don't need to know their business. But I do want to encourage any woman, especially a Christian woman who may be in a similar situation where you feel like there are no other options but to sit there in silence and suffer as he behaves badly in the name of Jesus. Please reconsider that. There are other options, but most importantly, have peace on the inside about the next thing you should do. I'm not trying to drive you in one direction or another, but I absolutely want you to know that there is hope out here. There are other options out here. And when the time comes, I pray that you have the strength to be able to make the decisions that you need to make.